what I reckon? I reckon that God made everybody to be their own doctor. And if it works, do it.
I think the way that you guys handle your food versus America, I feel like the bread here is not even real anymore. The cheese is not real.
Well, the bread in Australia is not real. A lot of people eat like this: cereal and toast for breakfast, sandwiches for lunch, pasta for tea, cakes, donuts, biscuits, cookies, mid-morning, mid-afternoon. That's high carbohydrate.
That's me.
High carbohydrate causes high glucose release, and the body cannot deal with it all, so it's got to dump it as a visceral fat, usually on the belly, and that's why Dr. William Davis, he called his book Wheat Belly. I find is the hardest things for me to teach is to get people to listen to their bodies. You got to listen to their bodies. If it works, do it. If it doesn't work, you got to keep adjusting. You can get spelt. You can get spelt. Spelt is a wild hybrid from the original grain. Ancient grains are the wheat and the wheat. They're almost wheat. When I say almost wheat, the original wheat did a wild hybrid. And because it was a wild hybrid with a field grass, it's still okay. But when man comes in and starts adjusting and playing with it, that's what's caused all the problems. It caused the starch structure to change, it caused the protein or the gluten structure to change, and so that's what's caused all the problems. That's all your gluten intolerance, which we never heard of 60 years ago. Dr. Norman Bulag got a Nobel Prize in 1976 for the hybridized wheat. They wanted to create a plant with a high yield of grain to help with the starvation crisis, but they never addressed what the effect of that hybridized wheat was on the human body. They rushed it through with no safety studies, sounding familiar, rushed it through, but only now are they starting only now are they starting to see the problems. And the problems we're seeing is the gluten intolerance, the weight gain, obesity, and the diabetes explosion. We could have helped with education. Bill Mollison of the permaculture, he went into African countries and showed them how to grow sweet potatoes, showed them how to grow hedges instead of chopping all their trees down to build fences. It's education.
Do you think they did that so that pharmaceuticals could give more medicine out? They caused the problem to give
I guess we see that happening. They cause the problem, then they come along with the solution. But, history quickly shows it's no solution at all, but it was a money spinner. Lentils, see, grain is high in fibre, high in protein, but high in carbohydrate. But the beauty of the legumes, the beans, is they're high in protein, but they're only medium to low in carbohydrate. So they're a superior food to bring those carbohydrate levels down. Someone says, my gut bloats. I say, well, is it because they're not soaked? Is it because they're not rinsed? Or is it because you don't have the microorganisms for lentils? Did you know that there's a different microorganism for every lentil? Every legume? Did you know that there's a different microorganism for every single different type of vegetable? And so it's quite possible that you need to just build up your microorganisms for the lentil. So how you do that is you start eating a teaspoon of lentils, and then after a week 2 teaspoons of lentils, and then little by little your microorganisms that your gut develops for the lentil, they start to grow. Interesting. We used to have this cook. He's actually returned and is our cook at the moment. His name's Zach, Fijian boy. He's been working for us on and off since he's 15. He's 29 now. And I could tell when he was eating wheat because he's fallen asleep all the time. I did a function with him a few years after that, and he had a slice of wheat bread. I said, can you eat that? He said, today, but not tomorrow, or the next day, or the next day. So I thought, wow, he's 19 and he's worked out. So it's a matter of listening. And I find that this is one of the hardest things that I have to do, is to teach people to listen. I eat a plant-based keto diet. So what do? Let me give you an illustration. So for breakfast I'll have fruit. I'm at Emma's house and she's got some beautiful cherries and peaches, and I'll dip all of those in chia seed and have some almonds, and then I'll have a slice of sourdough bread, and I think the sourdough bread she's got at the moment is a local one with rye in it. Then I'll have olive oil, Then I'll have avocado, cayenne pepper, and then black-eyed beans. That was my breakfast this morning. Yeah, but the sourdough increases the protein. And I didn't have 10 slices. Sourdough, and it's rye.
Yeah.
Wheat doesn't affect me, but if wheat did affect me, I wouldn't touch it. But you can get some really nice, like Simple Needs, that beautiful sourdough, gluten-free bread, and you can get that anywhere. A friend of mine, Tristan, he put it together for his son because his son had allergies. He's now baking 6,000 to 8,000 loaves a day. If the food's not great, and it's often just too many carbohydrates, I can always have fruit, this bread, olive oil, avocado. And that's what I show people. Fat doesn't make you fat. It's this high carbohydrate diet that's the problem. Yeah. The body just can't deal with it all, so it has to store it as fat. So we've just been in Phuket. We ran a pilot program in Phuket because I can't talk in Australia. Let's try Phuket. We had 53 guests. It was very successful. We'll probably do it again next year. So I go out to sunbake. I don't have sunscreen. I have my watch. 15 minutes front, 15 minutes back under the umbrella.
Under the umbrella?
Yeah.
Take shade.
So you don't get the actual sun on you?
That's right. No, 15 minutes front, 15 minutes back, then under the umbrella.
Oh, then under the umbrella. Okay, gotcha.
So you just have to be cautious of time. If you're going to be outside, spend a little time and then get the shade.
Don't take your sunscreen, take your watch. And by the end of the week, I was golden brown. And then I can be out there for half an hour, maybe an hour. Use of water. And the reason why it's use of water is that the best time to drink is when you wake up in the morning between meals. The worst time is with your meals because you dilute your gastric juices. So that's use of water. There's a time to drink, there's a time not to drink. And use of water meaning water therapies. So alternating hot and cold. We talked about the steam sauna. The water can be used as steam, can be used as water, can be used as ice. The next one is sleep. People ask me my secrets, how I've got so much energy at my age, but then they don't want to know. There's this great book called Sustain Me, and I've got a whole chapter in there on sleep. But let me give you God's perfect mathematical formula. 8 hours to work, 8 hours to play, 8 hours to sleep. Got that? This is my routine. I wake up in the morning, and the first thing I do is I surrender my life to God.
Amen.
I say, Father, I need you today.
Amen.
Especially with 6 kids, then 2 more, and especially with my 5th child being dyslexic, I need God.
I pray there's many, 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 many more women like you.
And then I always read the Bible. I'm reading a beautiful book at the moment on the story of Jesus, so I'm playing. Here's my play.
Okay.
And then I run up and down hills. And then last week when I was in South Dakota, I found this ice-cold mountain stream. So I ran up and down hills and dunked in the mountain stream. Do you know, by the end of the week, I had 5 ladies joining me.
Were you collecting them as you were running up the hill?
Well, out of 90, but 5, anyway, 5's better than none.
Yeah.
And so that's all so much play. And then I get into my kitchen when I'm at home and make the most beautiful food. I'm still playing.
Do you eat first before playing? Or do you fast?
No. I play first because if I eat, all my body's energies want to go to digestion. And we've got this amazing system in our cell, it's called glycogen. They're little molecules of glucose sitting in our muscle cell. And when we start running up and down hills and diving into water, those glycogen stores are getting used. And if they all get used up, well, then the human growth hormone's released and our fat stores start getting broken down. So you don't need to eat before you work out. T, trusting God.
Okay.
Trusting God, so that's first. Yeah. And trusting God really means faith.
Yep.
I don't know what this day's going to hold, but I know that God won't put me through anything I can't cope with, and He'll also make a way of escape if it gets a bit tough.